Welcome back to the Qlause Safety Series. This is Module S6, Chemical Safety and Hazard Communication. Every workplace uses chemicals, not just refineries and laboratories. Cleaners, fuels, oils, adhesives, paints, gases, and the dusts and fumes your own work creates. Most days, none of them hurt anyone, and that's not luck. It's because somebody read a label, closed a lid, switched on the extraction, and put the right container back in the right place. In the next few minutes, you'll learn the global language chemicals speak. It's called GHS, how to read a label and a safety data sheet, and the handling habits that keep chemicals where they belong, in their containers and out of your body. Let's begin. Here's what you'll be able to do by the end of this module. First, you'll understand the one global language. Why a chemical filled in South Africa, shipped through Europe, and used in America carries the same warning symbols all the way, and why that matters to you. Second, you'll know the 9 diamonds, the GHS pictograms, what each one warns of, and the 3 that people mix up with expensive consequences. Third, you'll know your way around a safety data sheet, the document that answers every question a label is too small to answer, including the ones that matter in an emergency. And fourth, you'll take away the everyday handling habits, storage, decanting, spills, and what to do if a chemical reaches you. Let's start with why chemical safety deserves its own module. Most workplace hazards announce themselves. A blade looks sharp, a forklift is loud, a drop is obviously a drop. Chemicals are different. A vapor can have no color. A solvent can numb your sense of smell within minutes, so the warning fades while the exposure continues. Some chemicals burn you today, others do their damage quietly, over years, to lungs, skin, liver, hearing of a different kind. The slow kind of harm you only discover long after the shift that caused it. That's why chemicals get their own language, their own labels, and their own sheet of answers. You can't manage what you can't see, unless it's labeled, and unless you read the label. Here is the ground rule this whole module stands on. If you can't identify it, you don't touch it. Every container in your workplace, every drum, bottle, tin, cylinder, and spray can must tell you what's inside it and what that contents can do. That's not bureaucracy. That's the deal that makes it safe to share a workplace with hundreds of substances. So when you find a container with no label, a label you can't read, or contents that don't match the name, you stop. Don't smell it. Don't pour a little out to check. Set it aside, make sure nobody else uses it, and report it. Unknown chemicals are nobody's shortcut. When you hear hazardous chemical, don't picture only drums with skulls on them. Picture your own workplace. The cleaners and degreasers in the maintenance cupboard, the fuels, oils, and solvents that keep machines running, paints, thinners, adhesives, and resins, including the 2-part ones that only become aggressive when mixed. Gases under pressure, welding gas, LPG, even plain compressed air, which is a hazard all by itself, and the chemicals nobody bought, the dusts and fumes your own work creates. Welding fume, grinding dust, wood dust, exhaust. If it can burn, corrode, poison, sensitize, or suffocate, it belongs in this module, no matter how ordinary the container looks. The most commonly underestimated chemicals on any site are the ones that look like groceries. For a chemical to hurt you, it has to reach you, and there are only 4 ways in. You breathe it: gases, vapors, mists, and dusts, straight into the lungs, the most common route in industry, and the one you'll least notice happening. You touch it, burns and irritation on contact, but also chemicals that pass through unbroken skin and travel deeper. You swallow it? Almost never, on purpose. It rides from your hands to your food, your drink, your cigarette, and it enters through broken skin, cuts, punctures, or high-pressure injection through a fine jet. 4 doors, that's all. Every control in this module, ventilation, gloves, lids, hygiene, exists to keep one of those 4 doors shut. Know your task's route, and you know your defense. Now the good news, and it's genuinely good. The world agreed on one chemical language. It's called GHS, the Globally Harmonized System of Classification and Labeling, developed through the United Nations. South Africa applies it, the United States applies it, Europe applies it, which means the red bundered diamonds on a drum in Johannesburg mean exactly the same on a pallet in Ohio and a tanker in Rotterdam. Learn the language once, and you can read any chemical on any site for the rest of your career. Before GHS, every region had its own symbols, its own phrases, its own color codes, and the confusion was itself a hazard. Now, there's one system. This module teaches you to read it in about 5 minutes. Ready? Every GHS label has the same 6 parts. Here's the tour. 1. The product identifier, the name of what's inside, matching the safety data sheet word for word. 2. The signal word, a single word that grades the danger. More on it in a moment. 3. The pictograms, those red bundered diamonds. They're the fastest part of the label to read. 4. The hazard statements, short, standard sentences, saying what the chemical can do, causes serious eye damage, highly flammable liquid and vapor. 5. The precautionary statements, what to do about it, keep away from heat, wear eye protection, and what first aid applies. And 6. The supplier, who made it and how to reach them. 6 parts, always the same order of importance: name, word, diamonds, harm, action. 9 diamonds, that's the whole alphabet, so let's read it. The exploding bomb, explosive. The flame, flammable, it wants to burn. The flame over a circle, an oxidizer, it doesn't burn itself, it makes every fire around it fiercer. The gas cylinder, gas under pressure, stored energy, and containers that become missiles when damaged or heated. The corrosion symbol, it destroys what it touches, skin, eyes, metal. The skull and crossbones, acutely toxic, small amounts can kill, quickly. The exclamation mark, harmful or irritant, the everyday warning you'll see most often. The person with the starburst chest, serious health hazard, the slow, deep damage. And the dead tree and fish, dangerous to the environment, keep it out of drains and soil. 9 symbols, 5 minutes, valid for your whole career. 3 of those diamonds get confused, so let's separate them for good. The skull and crossbones means acutely toxic. This can kill you today, in small amounts. Treat it with the respect you'd give a live wire. The exclamation mark is the milder cousin, harmful or irritating. It can hurt your skin, eyes, or airways. But it is not a license to relax. It's the most common diamond precisely because it covers so much. And the silhouette with the starburst chest, the health hazard symbol, is the one too many people shrug at. It marks the slow killers, substances that can cause cancer, damage organs, harm fertility, or turn your lungs allergic to your own job. No pain today, all the price later. If anything, that 3rd diamond deserves the most respect, not the least. Back to that single big word on the label, the signal word. There are only 2, and they grade the danger. Danger means the severe hazards. The chemical can do serious, possibly irreversible harm. Think severe burns, deadly vapors, violent flammability. Warning covers the less severe hazards. 2 things to remember. First, only one signal word ever appears. If a chemical earns both levels, the label shows the worse one. The worst hazard wins the argument. Second, and this is where people slip, warning does not mean mild. It means the harm is real, but less severe. There is no signal word that means safe. If it has a GHS label at all, it has earned your attention. The label is the summary. The full story lives in the safety data sheet, the SDS. Every hazardous chemical on site must have one, in the same 16-section format worldwide, and your site must keep them where you can actually reach them: a station, a binder, a terminal. Find out today where yours live. You don't need to memorize 16 sections. You need 5 stops. Sections 1 to 3, what the product is and what's in it. Section 4, first aid, what to do if it reaches someone. Sections 5 and 6, fire and spills, how it behaves when things go wrong. Section 7, how to handle and store it. Section 8, your protection, the controls and PPE the task needs. In an emergency, the SDS is the document that travels with the casualty. 4 checks, every time, before any chemical task. They take less than a minute once they're habit. Read the label. Right product, right diamonds, right signal word, and the container in good condition. Check the SDS if the task is new to you or new to you today, especially first aid, handling, and protection. Get the controls working before you open anything. Extraction on, lid strategy planned, drip tray in place, eyewash location known, and PPE on and intact. The gloves, the SDS names, not whatever's nearest. Because a glove that's wrong for the solvent doesn't slow it down, it soaks it against your skin. One more habit that costs nothing: wash your hands before you eat, drink, or smoke. That's the door most swallowed chemicals walk through. Most chemical accidents don't happen during use. They happen where chemicals rest. 5 rules keep storage quiet. Closed and labeled. Lids on, caps tight. Every container identified. Vapor from an open tin is exposure and fire risk at once. Segregated. Some chemicals attack each other. Oxidizers away from flammables. Acids away from bases. Your site's storage plan and the SDS decide what lives next to what, and it's never alphabetical order. Contained. Drums and dispensing on buns and drip trays, so a leak stays a puddle instead of becoming a drain problem. Ventilated. Stores need moving air, and cabinets exist for a reason. Use the cabinet, close the cabinet. And only what you need. The workplace holds the working amount, not the warehouse. Less chemical standing around is less that can go wrong. Now the rule that prevents one of the oldest, saddest accidents in industry. When you pour a chemical into a second container, a smaller bottle, a spray flask, a jug for one job, that new container needs a label, immediately, name and hazard, before it leaves your hand. Because an hour later, on a bench, your "I'll remember" looks exactly like water to the next person. And never, ever use a food or drink container. Not a water bottle, not a jam jar, not a cool drink can. People drink from drink bottles. That's the whole point of their shape. Somewhere in the world, that exact mistake happens every single day, and it usually finds the thirstiest person on the hottest shift. An unlabeled bottle is a trap. Don't set it. Spills happen. What matters is the next 60 seconds. First, know your limit. You deal with a spill only if you were trained for it. The SDS holds no surprises, and the spill kit is within reach. Small, known, trained. Those are the conditions. Contain it. Absorbent socks around the edge first, stop the spread, then soak up the middle, and keep it away from drains, because a spill that reaches a drain stops being a puddle and becomes an environmental incident with your name in the report. Used absorbents go out as hazardous waste, not general rubbish, and report it. Every spill, even the ones you handled perfectly, because spills are data. If the spill is large, unknown, or fuming, walk away, warn others, raise the alarm. That's not weakness, that's the procedure. If a chemical reaches you, eyes, or skin, the first minutes decide most of the outcome. So move fast and keep it simple. Flush with water and keep flushing, longer than feels necessary. For eyes, hold them open at the eye wash and let the water do the work. Know where your nearest eye wash and shower are before you need them, because you'll be finding them half blind. Strip contaminated clothing while you flush. Soaked fabric keeps dosing you. Someone brings the SDS. Section 4 tells first aiders and medics exactly what they're treating. It travels with you. And tell someone every time, even when it seems minor. Never tough it out. Some chemicals burn slowly, some poison quietly. And "it's just a splash" has a long history of being wrong. Fast water, fast help. Full report. One route of exposure deserves a final word of its own: the air. Breathing is the exposure you can't pause, so the controls on air matter most. If you can smell it, you're breathing it. And some of the most dangerous gases have no smell at all, or numb your nose within minutes. So, extraction on, always, and positioned right. A fume arm capture zone only works when the hood is close to the work. Never bypass or switch off ventilation because it's noisy or in the way. Respirators help only when they're the right type, the right filter, and fitted to your face. That's formal training, not guesswork. And never follow a smell into a tank, pit, or confined space. That's a permit-controlled, certified entry world. The air in there lies. One honest note about the law. As always in this series, GHS is the shared language, but each region carries it in its own instrument. In South Africa, the regulations for hazardous chemical agents apply GHS classification and labeling. In the United States, it's OSHA's Hazard Communication Standard, which is exactly why it's called HazCom. Across the European Union, the CLP Regulation, classification, labeling, and packaging does the same work. And ISO 45001, the International Safety Management Standard, wraps chemical risk into the same Plan, Do, Check, Act system your site may be certified against. The principles you've learned today hold in all of them, but your site's own rules, its storage plan, its permit system, its SDS library, always come first, because they're written for your chemicals, your building, your people. Let's be precise about what you've just done. Honesty being a safety value too. This module gives you awareness, the language of labels and diamonds, the map of the SDS, and the everyday habits of handling, storage, spills, and exposure. It does not, on its own, qualify you for the regulated jobs. Spill response beyond the small and simple. Transporting dangerous goods, entering tanks, silos, or confined spaces. Selecting respirators or fit testing them. First aid beyond the immediate flush and call. Those need formal, certified, often practical training under your local rules, and your site must arrange it before you do that work. If a chemical task needs a permit or a certificate you don't hold, that's a boundary. Respect it and say so out loud. 5 things worth keeping from this module. 1. Every container tells you what's inside, and if it can't, you don't touch it, you report it. 2. The diamonds are one global language, 9 symbols, same meaning everywhere. Give the quiet health hazard diamond the most respect, not the least. 3. Label first. SDS for depth. Read before you use, and know where the sheets live before you need one at a run. 4. Keep chemicals where they belong. Closed, labeled, segregated, contained, and never ever in a food or drink container. 5. When something goes wrong, a spill, a splash, a smell, act fast, keep it contained, flush long, and report it every time. Chemicals don't demand courage. They demand reading and respect. That's the whole trait. That's the end of Module S6. Thank you for your attention and for taking the quiet hazards seriously. 3 things before you go. First, download the free companion pack for this module at Qlause.ap, a 10-question quiz, a 1-page toolbox talk summary, an attendance register, and a chemical area walkthrough checklist for your own workplace. Second, the series continues with Module S7, working at heights and falling objects. Gravity is patient, and S7 is about never giving it a chance. And this week, read 1 label and 1 safety data sheet on your own site. Properly, start to finish. 5 minutes, and the language becomes yours. Stay sharp, look after each other, and we'll see you in Module S7.